All right, so get ready, because today we are going deep on a topic that's both fascinating and, I gotta say, a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
Sexual cannibalism.
Hmm.
We're talking about creatures that literally devour their mates.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more, I guess you could say, intriguing or bizarre behaviors you see in nature.
why on earth would they do that?
It's a question that's puzzled scientists for decades and decades, and as we're going to see in this deep dive, there's really no one single answer. It's
Okay.
a bit of an evolutionary puzzle with different species having different reasons for this seemingly bizarre behavior.
So it's not just a horror movie trope.
No.
This actually happens out there in the wild.
Absolutely. And it's surprisingly common, especially if you look at insects and spiders.
Hmm.
But we even see it in some other animals, like certain types of snakes.
Okay, then my mind is already blown.
Yeah.
So walk me through this.
Okay.
What are some of the leading theories about why this happens?
Well, one of the most straightforward explanations is what's called the adaptive foraging hypothesis. Okay.
And it's all about survival.
Hmm.
Just imagine like a female spider who's living in a really harsh environment where food is scarce.
Right.
You know, she needs all the nutrients she can get, especially if she's carrying eggs.
Right.
So,
She sees her mate as a convenient meal.
exactly. It's pretty brutal, but from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense.
Right.
If a female can get a big nutritional boost by consuming her mate, that could increase her chances of survival and reproductive success.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
But I thought I read somewhere that males aren't actually that nutritious compared to other prey.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it make more sense for her to just, catch a fly or something?
That's a really great question, and it's a point of debate among scientists.
Hmm.
And you're right, in many cases, a male might not be the most nutritious meal
Right.
on the menu. But here's where it gets really interesting,
Okay.
is that some recent research has shown that in certain spider species, males actually provide unique nutrients that females can't get from their regular diet.
Mhm.
So in those cases, the male is actually kind of like a superfood.
You could say that.
Wow.
So, for example, studies on wolf spiders have shown that males contain certain essential fatty acids that are crucial for egg production in females.
So it's not always just about the calories.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's about getting those specific nutrients that are hard to come by.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. These are so strange.
It really is, and it highlights how evolution can lead to some pretty unexpected outcomes.
Okay, so we've talked about hungry females,
Mm.
but what if it's not just about food?
Right.
What if they're actually being choosy about their mates?
Yeah, that brings us to another fascinating theory called the mate choice hypothesis.
Okay.
And the idea here is that females might use cannibalism as a way to kind of weed out less desirable mates.
So it's like an extreme version of swiping left.
Exactly. Imagine a female spider who is looking for a mate with specific qualities, like size or strength, or even the quality of their courtship displays.
Right.
If a male doesn't measure up, she might just decide he's more valuable as a meal than a father to her offspring.
So it's like a high-stakes dating game where the
Yeah.
wrong move could literally cost you your life.
That's one way to put it.
Yikes.
And there's some pretty compelling evidence to support this theory.
Okay.
For instance, there's a type of spider where females actually check the sperm count of their mates before deciding whether to eat them.
What?
Yeah, if the count is too low,
Really?
let's just say dinner is served.
Talk about setting high standards.
Right. And in another spider species, females seem to prefer larger males and are more likely to cannibalize the smaller ones. So size definitely matters in the spider dating world.
It's fascinating how this behavior can actually shape the evolution of certain traits in males, right?
Yeah.
Like if a male knows he's going to get eaten if he's not big enough or strong enough,
Yeah,
that's going to drive the evolution of those traits over time.
absolutely. It's this constant back and forth,
Yeah.
a kind of evolutionary arms race between the sexes.
Okay, so we've got hungry females, we've got picky females.
Right.
But what if sometimes it's just a big misunderstanding?
Hmm.
Like, could it be that the female simply mistakes the male for prey?
That's another possibility, and it's called the mistaken identity hypothesis.
Okay.
And sometimes females might just attack and consume males without even realizing their potential mates,
Right.
especially, if it's before any courtship rituals have taken place.
Oh, so the poor male's just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, tough break.
That's a tough break.
It is, but this hypothesis is actually pretty difficult to prove
Okay.
because it can be tricky to distinguish between mistaken identity and other explanations like, aggression or hunger.
Right.
It all kind of looks the same in the end.
So with all these dangers lurking out there, how do males even survive long enough to mate?
Yeah.
Like, they must have some pretty clever tricks up their
Oh,
sleeves.
they absolutely do. Male spiders in particular have evolved an incredible array of strategies to avoid becoming a meal.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's like a whole arsenal of survival
What
tactics.
kind of strategies are we talking about?
Well, one common tactic is what we call opportunistic mating.
Okay.
And this involves sneaking in and mating while the female is distracted, like when she's busy feeding on something else.
They're basically taking advantage of her momentary lapse in appetite.
Exactly. And some males even bring nuptial gifts
Okay.
of food to distract the female.
Oh,
It's like bringing a peace offering to a potentially deadly date.
I love that.
Right.
It's like, oh, here's a tasty fly for you. Please don't eat me.
Exactly. And it really highlights how males have evolved their own strategies in response to this threat of cannibalism.
So it's not just the females driving this evolutionary dance.
Right.
The males are actively trying to stay one step ahead of becoming dinner.
Precisely. It's this constant interplay of strategies and counter strategies. And speaking of strategies, another fascinating one is called mate binding.
Mate binding.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It is. This is where the male actually uses his silk to restrain the female
Whoa.
before mating.
Whoa.
Yeah, he wraps her legs sometimes, even her whole body in silk.
So it's like a spider version of tying someone up?
Well, it's not quite as kinky as it sounds.
Okay.
You know, the male isn't trying to be dominant or anything.
Right.
It's actually a way to calm the female down and reduce her aggression.
So it's like a predate relaxation technique?
Yeah.
Silk wraps and a soothing massage.
You could say that, and studies have actually shown that it can be surprisingly effective at reducing the chances of the male getting eaten.
Okay, that's brilliant. What other tricks do these clever males have, like their 8 sleeves?
Well, some males take the art of distraction to a whole new level. They use their silk to create a decoy,
Oh.
basically a fake version of themselves.
Wow.
The female attacks the decoy, giving the male a chance to either, make a quick getaway
Right.
or even sneak in a mating opportunity while she's busy with the fake out.
Whoa, so it's like a spider magic show? Now you see him, now you don't.
Exactly. And then there are the males who rely on a pure charisma and showmanship to win over their potential mate. They use these really elaborate courtship displays to try and impress the female.
Okay.
We see this across many different species, but one of the most dazzling examples is the peacock spider.
Oh, yeah, I've seen videos of those little guys.
Yeah.
They're like tiny 8-legged dancers with those incredible colorful displays.
They're amazing, right? The males have these brightly colored flaps on their abdomen that they raise up and shake while performing this really intricate dance. It's a truly mesmerizing spectacle.
So it's like their version of Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
They're trying to prove their fitness and impress the judges.
Right.
Who also happen to be their potential executioners.
You got it. And the more impressive the performance, the more likely the male is to avoid becoming a meal.
Right.
And hopefully pass on his genes.
It's a high-stakes, high-energy performance.
It is.
This is all just incredible. But earlier you mentioned something even more extreme.
Yeah, male self-sacrifice. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this one.
Yeah.
Why would a male spider willingly offer himself up as a meal?
It seems completely counterintuitive, I know.
Yeah.
But in some cases, self-sacrifice can actually be the best way for a male to maximize his reproductive success.
Okay, I'm really curious now. How does that work?
Well, there are a couple of possibilities. One is that by allowing himself to be eaten, the male provides the female with these valuable nutrients that can benefit their offspring. It's like a final act of paternal care,
Right.
giving his all to ensure the survival of his progeny.
This is like the ultimate sacrifice for fatherhood.
Exactly. And this strategy is particularly advantageous in species where males have very limited mating opportunities. They might only get one shot at fatherhood, so they make it count,
Right.
even if it means becoming dinner.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
But it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective.
Right.
If you only get one chance, you go all in.
Yeah.
Are there any real-life examples of this? Oh, there are some truly mind-blowing examples.
Okay.
For instance, the redback spider, the male, actually performs a somersault right into the female's mouth
What?
after mating.
No way.
Yeah.
It's like a spider suicide mission.
It is pretty dramatic, but studies have shown that males who sacrifice themselves in this way
No.
have a much higher chance of fathering offspring.
So it's like a kamikaze mission,
Yeah,
but for fatherhood.
you could say that, and it really highlights the incredible power of natural selection.
Right.
Even behaviors that seem totally suicidal can evolve if they increase the chances of passing on one's genes.
It's a reminder that evolution doesn't always prioritize individual survival.
Right.
It's about the survival of the fittest genes,
Exactly.
even if it means making the ultimate sacrifice.
Exactly. And here's another twist in the tale of sexual cannibalism.
Okay.
It's not always the females who are the cannibals.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You're telling me that sometimes the males eat the females?
It's true.
Now, that's a plot twist.
It is, though it is less common.
Right.
But there are some spider species where the males are the ones doing the devouring. For example, in a type of ground spider,
Okay.
males have been observed to cannibalize older females.
Okay, so it's not just about size and strength.
Right.
What's the evolutionary advantage for the males in this case?
It's likely about, maximizing their reproductive success.
Right.
Older females have much lower reproductive potential,
Right.
so it makes more sense for the male to eat them than to mate with them.
So it's like a different kind of cost-benefit analysis.
Exactly.
He's choosing a good meal over a less promising mating opportunity.
Precisely. It's a reminder that sexual cannibalism isn't a one-size-fits-all phenomenon. It's driven by all these different evolutionary pressures in different species.
This is all just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what about the physical differences between males and females in these species? Does that play a role in all of this?
That's a great question, and it brings up the concept of what we call sexual dimorphism. The differences in appearance between males and females of the same species.
Right.
In many animals, males are larger than females because they compete with each other for access to mates.
Right, like those massive elk antlers.
Yeah.
Like a huge size difference between like a male and a female elephant seal.
Exactly. But in many of the species we've been talking about, like spiders and insects,
Yeah.
the opposite is true. The females are usually the larger
Right.
and more dominant sex.
So how does that tie into sexual cannibalism?
Yeah.
Did the cannibalism lead to larger females, or did the size difference make cannibalism more likely?
Right.
It's like a chicken or the egg scenario.
It's a fascinating question, and scientists are still debating the exact relationship. But some believe that sexual cannibalism may have actually driven the evolution of larger females in these species.
So the females who were bigger and stronger were more likely to survive and reproduce.
Right.
Because they could overpower their mates.
Exactly.
It's like a self-perpetuating cycle.
Exactly. It's a great example of how even behaviors that seem bizarre or horrific can have a profound impact on the evolution of an entire species.
This whole deep dive has completely changed my perspective on spiders.
Yeah.
They're not just creepy crawlers anymore.
Right.
They're these incredibly complex and fascinating creatures with all these amazing adaptations and survival strategies.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to see someone discover the wonders of the natural world, even in the seemingly strange and unsettling aspects of it.
Okay, so we've talked about hungry females, picky females, and even males turning the tables.
Right.
But before we wrap up, there's one more piece of this puzzle I want to explore.
Okay.
Monogamy.
Ah, yes.
Monogamy.
Monogamy, the elusive ideal in the human world.
Right.
And apparently a rarity in the world of sexual cannibals as well.
So tell me more about that. How does monogamy fit into all of this?
Well, it's interesting because in many of the species where we see sexual cannibalism, the males are actually monogamous, meaning they only mate with one female in their entire lifetime.
Okay, that kind of makes sense when you consider the risks involved, right?
Right.
If there's a high chance of getting eaten by your mate,
Yeah.
why not put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak?
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding getting eaten.
Right.
Monogamy can actually be a really advantageous strategy for males in these situations.
Okay.
If a male can guarantee that his mate won't mate with anyone else,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to worry about sperm competition.
So it's like a paternity guarantee.
Yeah.
He knows that all of his mate's offspring will be his,
Right.
even if he only gets that one mating opportunity.
That's right. It's a way for him to maximize his reproductive success, even in a world where mating can be a really deadly affair.
But what about the females? Are they usually monogamous too?
Not typically. In most of these species, the females are polyandrous,
Okay.
meaning they mate with multiple males.
So the males are risking their lives for a single mating opportunity,
Right.
while the females are hedging their bets.
Yeah.
It seems a bit unfair.
It does, doesn't it? But remember, evolution doesn't always play fair.
Right.
It's all about what works best for passing on genes.
Right.
And for females in these species, mating with multiple males can increase the genetic diversity of their offspring.
So there's another example of that conflict between the sexes.
Yeah.
each trying to maximize their own reproductive success, even if it comes at the expense of the other.
Exactly.
And I guess sexual cannibalism is one of the most extreme manifestations of that conflict.
You could definitely say that. It really challenges our kind of romanticized notions of nature, doesn't it?
It definitely does. I used to think of spiders as just creepy crawlers.
Right.
But this deep dive has completely changed my perspective. They're these incredibly complex and fascinating creatures with these mind-blowing survival strategies.
I'm glad to hear that. It's amazing how much we can learn from even the smallest and seemingly insignificant creatures.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our exploration of this truly captivating and sometimes terrifying topic.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it? And as with any deep dive, we've only scratched the surface.
Right.
There's still so much more to learn about sexual cannibalism and the incredible diversity of life on Earth.
Absolutely. But for now, thanks for joining us on this wild ride through the world of sexual cannibalism.
Yeah.
We hope you've learned something new, and maybe even developed a newfound appreciation for those eight-legged creatures who share our planet.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and maybe think twice before swatting that next spider you see.
Yeah.
You never know what kind of fascinating secrets they might be hiding.